Okay, anyhow, it starts. Yesterday, we're already aware of this of our syllabus, our lab's point of view. Hello, hello, is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yesterday, um, regarding of syllabus, labs, all the discussion is over. The next thing is introduction. The introduction of biology. Why we learn about as an engineer. What is the importance of engineers to learn the biology? The importance of the biology background is in day-to-day life, our day-to-day routine practices, the biology importance. You know well, but unknowingly, we are implement so many things. Of course, so many scientists, biggest stalwarts, they invented so many things of biology point of view. Yeah, just you see. Visible? Hello? Hello? Is it visible? What I shared? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Introduction of biology. The biology point of view, there's so many living and non-living things. These both living and non-living things is combines. This is nothing but of our environment and of our ecological studies. In some specific area, we may studies of our environment point of view also. The invention of biology. Several scientists, they are years together, trial and trial, so many inventions, they find it. Bio is nothing but of the life, living thing. Bio means is life, it's a living thing. This is the Greek terms. Pologos is the study of, to study or the study of biology. It means life study, living organism study, living thing study. The biologist, the person who studies or studied in a deep sense, in an innovative way, this all comes under biologists, biological scientists, or several ways we can spell it as. The bio means is life, is living, the living things and non-living things, biotics and abiotics. Biotics is living things, abiotics is non-living things. The biotics and abiotics, in what way we identify? What way we identify the biotics and abiotics, living things and non-living things? Just is a general one. How do you distinguish living things and non-living things? Only one point. One point. Just you remember. living things and non-living things. The living things can reproduce. It can reproduce. The reproduction. Reproduction takes place in living things. But non-living things is no have reproduction. Not at all reproduce. But living things can reproduce. Living things can grow. Living things can motility, movements. This takes place. But non-living things, its reproduction is not at takes place. It's not at growth. It's not at what it is, motility, movement from one place to another place. Not at all. Wherever the place it's identified, in that place only. But living things is a lot of diversities, lot of biodiversity. The living diversity is it can adapt the particular surrounding, the habitation. That is a special character of living things. Yeah, this is the brief history of our biology. The great scientist, the Greek scientist Aristotle, he the living things and non-living things. He's a father of biology. He distinguished the living and non-living things. It's a natural world of air, land, water. This all comes under the naturally occurred ones of non-living things. Yeah, the great scientist of Aristotle. And Galen is a Greek physician. He first discovered apes and pigs. The father of anatomy. He's an anatomist. So that is each and every part of the body he is identified and distinguish how to its arrangements and everything. So he is the father of anatomist. Anatomy. Yeah, he is one of the anatomists. Next, Andrews Wesley is made of the first dissertation on human anatomy. Yeah, of course, he's discovered the comparative anatomy. Yeah. The anatomy is compared to the digestive, the respiratory, and circulatory. These all are systems. The systems is comparisons. The nerve systems, everything. He discovered the comparative studies in the mammals. At the same time, other biological things, aves, the reptiles. The comparative studies it takes place. Aves itself is one type of skeletal structure, and the mammals another type of the skeletal structure. The haloneus takes place in the skeleton, in the aves. Aves means nothing but of the birds, but in the mammals, the skeletal structure, the bones is a lot of the bone marrow. The bone marrow is prepares the blood cells. Yeah, in that way, it's a lot of the comparative studies in the anatomy and the different species. The next one is William Harvey. He invented blood pumping, circulatory system, circulation, arteries, veins, pulmonary arteries, pulmonary veins, This particular is the red blood cells, the red blood, the containing one. Yeah. Once it's mixed up with oxygen and once it's mixed up with carbon dioxide. This both, the carbon dioxide mixed blood and oxygen mixed blood. This is the filter point, like this both is arteries and veins, it's blood circulation, the pumping of the blood in a human body. That is nothing but of the cardiac, cardiac arrest and all these are know well about, we heard about. Why it is happens, and all these are he invented, particularly the circulatory system. Circulatory system is nothing but of the blood and heart related. Yeah, Marcello Malfigi is a physician, anatomist, a microscopic anatomy. Through microscopic anatomy, the deep studies. It's non-visible things, small number of the veins, number of neurons in our body. But all these are only under microscope, only it can identify. Other than, it's not it. Why? Because it's not visible. It seems to be as a flesh. So this Marcello Malfigi, he identified through the microscopic anatomic things. Yeah, Anthony von Leeuwenhoek, he discovered microorganisms. So many, the disease caused one, harmful bacteria like protozoans, all these are. The protozoans is microscopic, under microscopic conditions only it can. So the first to use the microscope discovered microorganisms such as the protozoans. It's called as animalcules. Just like in your lower classes, I think you studied slipper animalcule. It's a protozoan. It's paramecium. Slipper animalcule is nothing but as a paramecium. Slipper animalcule means it's just like a slippers like shape is, the paramecium shape is our soul. So our slipper soul like the structure, the shape is like that. So that is the reason why this is a slipper animalcule. Why? Because it's a protozoan. All protozoans are called animalcules. It's under microscopic conditions only it's visible. Next, this is a great scientist, all of you heard about Charles Darwin. Origin of species by natural means of natural selection, the natural adaptability, the origin of species it can. He wrote a book, biggest famous book. But after that, this theory it's so not yet satisfied. The evaluation of biology, this book, in this some of the theories is not yet fruitful. Yeah, of course, but this Charles Darwin is a great scientist. He is identified the living things in what way, this origin of the species, the selection of species through nature only. Which one is it stable and sustained? Those species only it can living together. That is the way of theory he identified. Next, the divisions of biology. The major is one is the botany and the zoology. Yeah, either in the plants or animals. One is the study of plants and animals. Another one is animal study. is zoology. The plant study is botany. This is the major division. Yeah, of course. Our classification we are learn about in our syllabus. It's have the classification of in that classification we learn about so many things. Yeah, the botany, the plant study. The dendrology is a study of trees and their history. Mycology is study of fungi, the fungus. Uh, the fungus is not an individual growth; it's always growth on the other body. Okay, the plant body or some other. Frequently you may identify in our chutneys the fungus. It's not yet visible. So many fungus, but days together the fungus we can identify. In our cloths, wet cloths, also fungus. It's not yet visible, but in some sticky order. This is the study of the fungus is mycology. It leads to allergy in the fungus. Yeah. Paleobotany is the study of the fossil plants. Fossils. Whenever the plants is decayed, is destroyed, is converts as in fossils. This fossil plant study is paleontology. Paleontology. And phytopathology, study of disease of plants. The disease of plants studies is phytopathology. Agriculture is a study of the principles of the botany and growing of food plants. Food crops are exported varieties and food varieties of the crops. Studies is nothing but of our agriculture. And pomology is a study of the cultivating fruits. The cultivating fruits study is nothing but of the pomology. There can lot of economical variety of the fruits, exported variety of the fruits. The economical growth is takes place to this particular the fruit gardens in any country of any place. Yeah, this particular study of the fruit gardens and fruit plants is pomology. The next thing is now our strength is 60. Only 50 is reached. The 10 members is absent. Who are those? Okay. The next is biology. Archaeology is study of the single class of invertebrate. Ornithology is a study of single class of invertebrate. Conchology is a study of molluscs. Conchology is different. Oncology is different. Oncology is relevant to the cancer. It's a conchology. Remember, conchology is a study of molluscs. Oncology is a study of cancer. Yeah, the diseases. This is one of the another branch. Okay. Next is embryology. You heard about the embryology is studies of development of animal forms, and entomology is a study of insects, insecticides, and the plants especially. It attacks and the plant crops, the yield is decline. This is a study of entomology is insects study, and herpetology is a studies of the reptiles. The reptiles is nothing but of snakes, either poisonous and non-poisonous snakes. Herpetology. Next is mammalogy, study of mammals. These are all our classifications. Some short answer questions it may appear. Study of the mammals. is mammalogy. Mammals, you know about the mammals. What is mammals? Mammals gives the birth, and mammals supplies the milk to their babies. Those are called as mammals. The human is a mammal. Goat is a mammal. Elephant is a mammal. Tiger is a mammal. Uh, Dog is a mammal. Yeah, dolphin is mammal, but it's an aquatic. Dolphins are mammals. It gives the birth and produce the milk to the infant, the child, the babies it gives. Those all the mammals is gives the birth, not laid the eggs. Hen, hen is a ewes, means nothing but of the birds. It's not a mammal. Hen, ostrich, ostrich is ewes, comes under ewes. Ewes is nothing but of birds. Okay, emu or the peacock, all these are the ewes. Okay, that is nothing but of ornithology. Yeah, now here comes to the particular point. Study of birds, ornithology. Salim Ali is the great ornithologist. Salim Ali Park, ornithological park. You know, one of the picture is also one of the cinema. He also Salim Ali Park. It's a bird scientist, bird sanctuary. There it is, the conservative birds conservation park. Yeah, the ornithology is study of birds. Next, ichthyology is study of fishes. Fishes. Yeah. Next is some of the branches of biology. Some of the studies of botany, some of the studies of zoology, and some of the branches of biology. One is anatomy, the study of the structure of entire the organisms and their parts. This is nothing but of the study of anatomy, the human anatomy, study of the brain, study of the lymph nodes, study of the lungs, the spleen, the bone marrow, study of gastric means stomach, yeah, veins, the pancreas, is urinary bladder, the study of urinary bladder in the anatomy, intestines, the big intestines and the small intestines. Next is the skeleton, and kidneys, nephrons, excretory system. So nephrons only, the kidneys containing nephrons. Then only the excretory system is functioning. And gallbladder, the gallbladder, and the liver, and muscles, arteries, means veins and arteries. Veins and arteries. Veins in it seems to be green in color. Arteries is some red in color. The veins, the pure blood in arteries. The impure blood is nothing. Pure blood means nothing but of mix up with carbon dioxide. Once it's a mix up with oxygen, that particular blood is in arteries. The mixed blood with carbon dioxide. The respiration, inhalation, and exhalation. The mix up with carbon dioxide, those pass to the veins. Yeah. Next, heart study, heart. Next is Florence means is throat study, and forensic. This is the oral, but of course it's a mouth part. Okay, these all are the human comes under the human anatomy. It's all the parts, study and structure and their the functions. Yeah, the physiology, that is anatomy. This is physiology. Physiology is the study of how the body and its parts working. Body parts, it's working. This is the thing of our heart, arteries and veins. Is veins is combines. Arteries, through arteries, the pure blood is pumping out. Yeah. Mix up with oxygen. Next, some branch of the biology, ecology is the study of how the organisms interacts with their environment, with other organisms. This is the ecological study. Already in environment, the parasitology, this is the study of organisms that live in or on other organisms. That is caused diseases. The disease caused organisms. Study is parasitology. Yeah. The taxonomy is nothing but of classification. The study of the classification and evaluationary interrelationships among the organisms. The plants, animals, fungi, archaeobacteria, and the protista, Ebocitria. This classification will be learned in a deep way, in a deeper sense. But the first and foremost, you remember the taxonomy is the study of the classification and evaluationary interrelationships among one another. Okay, these are all the different studies. Next is embryology, the study of development of and growth of organisms. Each and every animal, the embryological studies is different. The embryological developments it takes some time. Someone is 9 months, someone is 24 months. Yeah, 22 to 24 months in elephants. The human is 9 months. The cows is 10 months. The tiger is 11 months. The like. The goats and sheep, they all are within 6 months. Yeah. The 90 days, the rabbits, the embryological developments. Yeah, like that. The cytology. This is the study and the structure of the function of the cells. The cell is a major unit of any cohesive structure of the body is generated. The cell study and cell structure and their functions is called as cytology. And next is the microbiology. Under the microscopic, whatever the organisms we may, the magnifying glass through only identify. These are all our microorganisms. This is the study of the microorganisms such as bacteria, protozoans, and virus. These are all are not visible through our naked eye. This one is only under the microscopic conditions only. It may be simple microscope or compound microscope or electronic microscope. Only through can once it's cultivated, is cultured, or else some testings, microbial studies. These are all are called as petri dish. It's macerating, and all these are. This is a different study. Microorganisms. Next is the paleontology. Yeah, you see here. The paleontology is a great studies. The study of the fossils, the, the preserved the remains and the traces of organisms for the past. You see here one of the rock, inside of the rock. This particular animal is in a decade. Next, it's totally surrounding mud is converted as a stone form. Sand is converted as a stone form, but in the shape is same as. So now this is in a which era, which age, and here it is also one of the dead animal. Here it is. The skeletal structure is in a what? How long back this type of animals is possible on the earth. Of course, these are all comes and whichever the endangered species. You know, the Jurassic Park, picture of Jurassic Park. It's very long back, the golden era. That much of animals is pass on the earth and the terrestrial. But now it's not at the visible, that particular species. So these are all the studies of the fossils, the preserved or remains of the residues are traced out and their organs according to the DNA wise. This is a paleontology, is a vast study. Yeah. This is a thing of genetics. It's a Krebs cycle, double helix cycle. It's a ladder-like structure, DNA. The study of how traits and inherited means generations to generation. It's inherited. They passed on the one generations to the next. Through only it's possible through genes only, the genetic orientations only, the genetic the twisted ladder. The shape is a twisted ladder. The genes are arranged like that. Next is morphology, the study of total gross structure, the gross structure and forms of organisms. This total morphological structure. This is nothing but of external structure of organisms. If any organism is studied is nothing but of morphology. Next is the final one is histology, study tissue, but in the mouth tissue, the study of tissues. Pathology, ecology. These are all the branches of another one is physiology and anatomy. This is one is the structure and another one is the function. Structure is shape is anatomy and the function is physiology. Next, there are different types of geological and the botany, biological. These both are comes under biological, but someone is plant relevant and someone is zoo relevant. Geological, animals relevant. Yeah, these are all are the divisions. You remember all these are the things. Why? Because in the next classes we have classifications. In that classification, these things is again. Okay. Yeah, good answer. Living things and non-living things. Who is 59111059? What is your name?
यथार्थ sir.
Amma?
यथार्थ.
Yathartha. Yathartha?
Yes sir.
One is eat, the second one is growth. Okay. And the breathe. Oh, the respiration is also takes place in the plants also. Plants is not only the photosynthesis. In the photosynthesis is carbon dioxide. In the daytime means especially it needs to sunlight. Yeah, the photons of energy is required for photosynthesis. The sunlight contains only it can consume. But at the same time, the night time, the plants uh, respirate. At that time, it wants to oxygen. So the breath it just takes place in both the cases. A breath means here it is the respiratory system is here. There it is. That respiratory system of the plants is in the night time is different. Yeah, of course. But in both the cases, plants and animals is both are living things. But non-living things not at all breathe, not at all eat, not at all growth. The growth means it's morphologically growth just before we are seeing the morphological growth or else the reproductive growth, the reproduction, reproduce. This is the good things. These is major differences between living and non-living things. Good, Yatharth. Yatharth is 59. Okay. Good thing, it's short. Okay. Next. Let's see. Yeah, a small video, I think. You see. It's a living world, biological things point of view. Is it audible or not? Just you tell me.
Introduction. Planet Earth is made up of abiotic and biotic components. The biotic components are obviously the living beings present around us. The question is, why do we call them living and how do they differ?
Is it audible? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. And also the same, whatever they talk, the same script it also comes under. We not to read, of course, you listen carefully. This is a full-length video. Living things, non-living things, relations and classifications up to, and what way it's preserved, it's animals, and at the same time the plant things, in what way the specimens is in a preserved in a formaldehyde, 10% formaldehyde, what its importance, and all the things you have. The biotic and abiotic things, first you see.
Chapter 1. Living World. Introduction. Planet Earth is made up of abiotic and biotic components.
Abiotic and
The
biotic.
biotic components are obviously the living beings present around us. The question is, why do we call them living and how do they differ from non-living? Basic principle of life. A. The living being once produced or born has to survive. For survival, it needs energy and many chemical molecules. For
Yeah.
energy, it has to perform metabolism.
Metabolism.
Metabolism is breaking of molecules, that is catabolism,
Metabolism.
and making of new molecules, that is
Anabolism.
anabolism. B. From birth onwards, organisms show tendency of growth and development. This growth is a well-orchestrated process. You might have observed sand mounds, boulders grow, etc. This growth is not from within, and hence these are not living beings. C. Growth and development are not the processes which have unlimited time span. At certain point of time, the molecules, organs, systems begin to lose their effective working and become old. This is aging process of the body. D. Life has to continue, hence the organism tries to produce a young one like itself. It is possible due to reproduction, asexual or sexual.
Yeah.
This
The
ensures
sexual and sexual
continuity of
reproduction.
race. Mules, sterile worker bees do not reproduce yet are living. Can we call reproduction an inclusive characteristic of life? E. As the body loses its capacity to perform metabolism, the organism dies. F. Any living being responds to thermal, chemical, or biological changes in the surrounding. This is unique property of living beings.
This is a unique
There is
property of living
immense
beings.
diversity in living organisms. Since time immemorial, variety of organisms are living together on Earth. In order to understand the interrelations between living and non-living, as well as between two living beings or groups,
Yeah, this is a
systematic
kingdom.
study of these is essential. This data is also important for various industries and agriculture. Intensive laboratory and field studies in order to identify and classify the organisms form strong basis for meaningful use of the collected data. If we need to study this diversity, certain aids called taxonomical aids can be used. These include herbaria, botanical gardens, museums, biodiversity parks, etc.
You see the several way of classifications.
Herbaria,
This is herbarium.
the collection or deposition of dried plant material by using various techniques of preservation and their arrangement in the sequence of an accepted classification forms herbaria. The preservation techniques include mostly the pressing and drying of plant material. However, the succulent plant or plants unsuitable for drying and pressing technique are fixed in suitable liquid preservatives like formaldehyde, acetic
Formaldehyde and
alcohol,
acetic alcohol.
etc.
Preservation.
A herbarium technique involves collection, drying, poisoning, mounting, stitching, labeling, and deposition. Herbaria are associated with research institutes, scientific societies, botanic gardens, universities, and colleges. In a developing country like India, the herbaria are small and built up by government or private agencies. Herbaria can be classified into three main categories: such as A. Regional herbaria,
Plant science
B.
comes under.
Local herbaria, and C. Herbaria of educational institutions, including schools, colleges, and universities. The herbaria preserve national, regional, local plant wealth and help to carry out research programs of fundamental or of applied value. It also facilitates exchange and loan of preserved plant material for various purposes like exhibitions, research, etc. It fulfills public demand by supplying plant material and giving scientific information regarding plants by arranging training courses. Botanical gardens. Botanical gardens are the places where plants of different varieties collected from different parts of the world are grown in a scientific and systematic in vivo manner. Plants are labeled. The label board shows scientific as well as common name
Plants
of
are
the
named
plant.
scientific names, botanical names.
Know the scientists. In 1543, first botanical garden of the world was established by an Italian professor, Luca Ghini, AD 1490 to 1556 at Pisa, Italy.
The Italy
Botanical
scientist.
Garden at Kew in England is known for largest collection of more than 30,000 specimens, that is, preserved plants, and more than 7 million herbaria. Conservation of biodiversity. Biodiversity is the degree of variation of life forms in an ecosystem. Biodiversity
Degrees
is
of
essential
variations.
to maintain ecological stability. The extent of complexity and density of biodiversity can
Complexity
be
and
regarded
density
as a measure of health of
living
an
things.
ecosystem. Population explosion and overexploitation of resources has resulted in loss of biodiversity at an alarming rate. Conservation involves attempting to slow down, stop, or even reverse the loss in the natural habitat of organisms. This is known as in situ conservation. Why does the loss of biodiversity matter? For many people, it is a simple moral or ethical issue. We share our planet with a huge range of other organisms, and we have no right to harm them. Biodiversity helps to maintain stability of an ecosystem. Loss of one variety of organisms can affect entire ecosystem.
Museum.
Museum. Museums are the places where collections of preserved plant and animal specimens are kept. Plant and animal specimens may be preserved in formalin, that is 10% to 40% formaldehyde, in transparent jars. Jars are labeled. Larger animals like birds and mammals are usually stuffed and preserved. This science is known as taxidermy. Specimens of dried form are also kept in museum. We can even find systematic collections of shells, skeletons of animals, insect boxes in museums. Thus, biological museums in educational institutes are reference hubs of biodiversity studies. Zoological parks. Zoological park, generally known as zoo, is a place of interest for common man. In a zoo, wild animals are kept in captivity. They are protected and care is taken to provide conditions similar to their natural habitat. In a zoo, a naturalist can study food habits and behavior of animals. Flora, manuals, monographs, and catalog are some other tools of maintaining biodiversity records. Flora is the plant life occurring in a particular area on time. A monograph describes any one selected biological group, whereas
Flora
manual
mammals.
provides
Some
information,
amphibians,
keys about
fishes, molluscans,
identification of species found
caves.
in a particular area. Biodiversity parks. It is an ecological assemblage of species that form self-sustaining communities on degraded or barren landscape. Example, Late Uttamrao Patil Biodiversity Park, Gureghar, Mahabaleshwar. This park is the best model for conservation of natural
So
heritage
natural
in
heritage.
urban landscape. Systematic classification of living organisms is helpful in understanding the interrelations. In order to understand interrelations between organisms and maintain harmony on planet Earth, study of biodiversity is a must. Know the scientists. Dr. S.P. Agarkar. One of the leading
Maharashtrian.
botanists of India, Dr. S.P. Agarkar was born in November 1884 in Malvan, Maharashtra. He explored biodiversity of Western Ghats, where he came across a species of freshwater jellyfish, which was until then only known to be found in Africa. These findings were published in scientific journal Nature in 1912. Dr. Anna Dale, the superintendent of the Indian Museum in Kolkata, helped Dr. Agarkar in his further endeavors to collect, preserve, and conduct microscopic examinations of animal and plant specimens. The Institute, ARI, Pune, has been named after his name. Key. Key is taxonomical aid used for classification of plants and animals. The keys are based on contrasting characters.
See,
One of the
fishes.
contrasting characters gets accepted and other rejected. The statement in key is called a lead. Normally, keys are analytical in nature. Let us study about classification of living organisms in next chapter. Do you know? When plants from any forest locality are conserved on the name of holy place, it is called as
grove.
sacred grove. These are also considered as sacred natural sites by IUCN.
This is one of the relevant of our biological organisms. In what way it preserves the animals or at the same time in the plants. Their diversification, what way it's diversified. These things is can differentiate with living things and non-living things point of view. Okay. Now it's 49, someone is gone. 48. 22, Abhishek. Number 2, Abhishek. Class leader, Priyanka. 24.